welcome to the LOUDLABS show. On today's episode,
my whole thing is people are undernourished. Now I'll say there's too much food in Skid Row when you see everybody in Skid Row is weighing 400 to 500 pounds.
Right.
Then you can say they're eating too much food going. You see everybody, I'm home. You look like you're eating pretty good to me.
There are 3 kids on the other side and a gentleman who's supposed to be the father. They said that the mom already got out and that she went in the car, so I don't know.
he was grabbing children out of windows and saving them. If that's not a hero, I don't know what a hero is.
We are learning more details about the 5 victims that were on board that twin-engine plane that came crashing down moments after takeoff and was all caught on camera.
Hello, Los Angeles. Thank you for joining us on episode 9. Yes, we made it to 9 episodes. We have a lot of stuff to get to today, so first let's introduce our guest. Over the past 10 years, he has been a community activist working with the homeless community and low-income residents in Skid Row. In 2007, he founded his own community activist organization, Issues and Solutions. In 2008, he became a Los Angeles City elected official upon winning a board of directors seat on the Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council, the TLLS. He served 3 consecutive 2-year terms, and in 2012 became the vice president of outreach and communications for the TLLS. Born and raised back in the day when it was called South Central LA, and in the media rise of street gangs drive-by shootings, General Jeff never joined a gang and was always into sports and music as a way of expression. The General has deep and heavy hip-hop roots, and we will be getting into all that along with his current endeavors in just a bit. It is with great honor the LOUDLABS show welcomes General Jeff.
Hey, thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you for joining us. All right, so first things first, we're going to get into last night's look.
Wow.
Last night's look.
Oh, yeah, we never get it out.
I like last night's look. So yeah, this is a fire on 49th Street. There's Good Samaritans using
garden hoses.
Waste of time, but when something like this happens, you feel like you got to do something.
Look at that, man. That is that's what you call fully involved.
Yeah, and there were some rescues that took place. I missed those, or they're happening now and I don't realize it. But yeah, look at that.
Are they still? By the time you got there, though, I heard on the scanners that the first arriving unit said that all the people were out of the house.
There's a total of 9 people, is what I heard, and then I also heard 13. I heard 9 over the scanners. Another station is the one who told me 13. I just know there was a lot. There was 5 adults and 4 children, and their home went up in flames.
Yeah.
Can you feel the heat from
Yes.
where you're shooting?
On that particular one, I definitely felt the heat. I felt the heat. I was standing right next to that stop sign. There's a tree right next to it. I was posted against the tree when I had that opening shot, and I was definitely warm.
Yeah.
I was feeling it gnarly. That was a little mishaps with LAFD, unfortunately. I kind of stopped rolling that. They don't want to see that happen. So yeah, there's a big fire. 2-story. Is it a workman home, Victorian style home, craftsman home? What do they call that? Craftsman?
Yeah, there was. I heard them, but I heard them over the scanners. I heard them mention the full-length porch on the front, and I was looking on the map to see where you were at, and I thought at first, I thought it was going to be apartments around that area there, but no, that's a 2-story house, fully involved.
Right there, we just saw Raymond. Raymond, we're going to hear a soundbite from Raymond in just a second. I do an unofficial soundbite with him at first. Then I feed my story. Then I come back and get an official soundbite with him. He's a hero. I told him he's a hero. He denied it, but he's a hero. He was grabbing children out of windows and saving them. If that's not a hero, I don't know what a hero is.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just gonna watch firefighters put this thing down.
Any of that on? Anybody catch that on cell phone or anything?
Nobody
like that?
caught that on camera. Here I am talking to him
My
real quick.
understanding, yes, there's 3 kids on the other side and a gentleman who's supposed to be the father. They said that the mom already got out and then she went in the car, so I don't know.
What happened?
No, well, there's a fire. I mean, but we have the 3 kids and a gentleman over there.
Oh, okay, you got the baby?
We have the babies. The babies are on our side.
Okay.
So and the mom is fine?
Yeah, so this is a family member looking for his family right now, and Raymond's over there showing him where the rest of his family is.
Wait a minute, that guy right there that Raymond was just talking to, that's the guy that lives in that house?
He's one of the 9 people that live in that home.
And he doesn't know where
And he didn't know because they all went out separate ways. When you have 9 people,
sure.
It's easy when you have 3 or 4, like, ooh, there they are. But when there's 9.
That's why it's always good to have a plan, for a family to have a plan when there's a fire in the home, right?
The plan is get out.
Well, yeah, but there's a meeting spot. They always, when you got that big of a family, you gotta kind of prepare for, or at least plan for something like this to happen.
This is 50th Street near Normandy.
Yeah.
What they would have called South Central back in the day. How far from where you grew up is this?
Not too far. I grew up around Florence and Crenshaw.
Gotcha.
Crenshaw District, they call it now. Was there a determination of the cause of the fire yet?
Not yet. Fire's still under investigation. They had a hard time putting it out, what they call a knockdown, because it got up into that second story and just gutted it.
Lucky there was not a lot. It doesn't seem like there was a lot of wind,
Correct.
so it didn't spread.
Yeah, this is my last shot. It's blown out. So this is me walking back to the car. I couldn't resist. So all right, that was the fire. Now we're gonna talk to the hero.
And what happened?
Well, I know I usually fall asleep in the living room. My wife came screaming because she opened the door. She heard someone, and she realized that there was a fire. So she called me, and by that point in time, the front of the house, we could see that there were flames, and it started to run up the side. And so immediately I turned on the water hose, went over there, and as I was watering down what I could, started screaming, and then all of a sudden I heard a voice, went to the window, and there was a little kid half partially through the window. So I took him out and asked if there was anybody else, and then another little kid pushed him out, and then there was a girl there. She's I think 4th or 5th grade, and she went ahead and helped me get out and asked if anybody else, and she said no. So I got them out. They came over to our house, and then went back over there, watered a little bit more, kept screaming, see if anybody was around. Another gentleman had made it to another window further back, and then he was able to get out. But the fire, like I said, it was really taking off. I got a chance to speak to the owner. He's on the other side with other people who live in the house, and fortunately everybody is out.
So everybody did escape?
From my understanding, yes, because the mom, it went with the neighbor. One of the people who live here already spoke to the mom. Dave, who's the owner, spoke to, he's accounted for everybody on that side. And like I said, we have the 3 kids in our house right now. The aunt happens to be here to watch over them. And then the gentleman, I don't know where he went, but I know he got out.
So, I don't know if anybody's told you, but I'm going to tell you, you're a hero.
No, it's not me. It's the little girl. I appreciate it, but it's the little girl because she helped to get her little brothers out. And she was the last one to come out. And I don't know if the gentleman who later came out, he actually, I don't know if he helped them and then went further back. But to me, it's the little girl because she, made sure that her brothers got out.
Thank you, Raymond. Much appreciated.
No problem. Thank you.
And that was Raymond. I call Raymond a hero, right? Good Samaritan, hero, whichever way you want to call it. That guy saved kids.
Absolutely.
And now look at his neighbor's house. Ugh. Still have hot spots all throughout that thing. I left. This thing came out at 3:55. I left the area at 5:05, and they still hadn't had a knockdown yet. So yeah, that was a pretty crazy fire this morning.
Generally speaking, you don't see a house fire just go up that quickly.
Yes and no. Here's what happens. During the day, no. And the reason is because there's more eyes out and more calls going to 911 faster. At nighttime, that's when you're going to get most of your fires because they have a chance to build before people can actually call 911. But you're going to get more of these at night than during the day. And I actually have a couple cool shots coming up here right after this guy. There he is talking to the firefighters. Raymond telling him what he did. I like Raymond. Raymond's a hero. Yeah. So we got some water drops. There's a bicycle there that got ruined, amongst other things. And that'll pretty much do it for... What'd I slug this? I slugged this family escapes massive house fire. So yeah, there we have it. And Raymond, you are a hero. Family says thank you. Yes, so does Loud Labs. All right, let's get into some more news. As you guys know, Victor's package is getting bigger and better every week. We like Victor's package. Victor has been working hard on this package. And there was a plane that crashed in Riverside. And William, one of our Inland Empire photographers, was smart enough to find some security camera, and he was able to get this crash caught on camera.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've seen this.
Yeah, so here we go with Victor's package.
We are learning more details about the 5 victims that were on board that plane. But first, let me show you the 2 homes practically demolished. The plane's wreckage barely noticeable. This is the result of a twin-engine plane that came crashing down moments after takeoff and was all caught on camera. Surveillance video shows the Cessna plane crashing down, followed by a fiery explosion. Nearby residents describe the horrific scene.
And then I saw a female crawling out of the fire on the grass, and you could see her lower half of her body was on fire, and I just started screaming, like.
I went outside and I saw the flames about 300 or 400 feet up.
This man says he was among several good Samaritans who pulled a woman out of the wreckage.
There's a lady crawling. Half of her clothes was, still in flames. We were able to pat it down, and we carried her across the street.
We knew that there was possible savable lives in there. Our firefighters did what they had to do, and we had 2 rescues because of that.
Incredibly, the man inside one of the homes managed to escape unharmed. Investigators say 5 people were on board. Family members later identifying one of the 2 survivors as Stacy Pierce, who suffered 3rd-degree burns to 90% of her body. Among the dead are Nuri Hijazi, his wife Dana Hijazi, and Aiden Forelas, a family friend. The crew took off from Riverside Airport and were on their way back home to San Jose after attending a cheerleading event in Disneyland. Residents around the airport have been sharing their concerns over planes flying too low above their homes.
For an individual like, me, the residents in the neighborhood, we're not sure what we're supposed to do.
The Federal Aviation Administration is very, very strict in its rules. I don't have safety concerns. I know that all the flight paths are followed properly.
Today, a community remains on edge while they mourn the lost. So much concerns we have been hearing from residents around here, but as you heard, officials believe no one should be worried despite this being the 2nd plane crash to happen in the last year and a half in the area. For now, the cleanup continues. Rondo Road between Beatty Drive and Dewey Avenue remains closed. But Scott, while the NTSB has left the scene, they say this investigation could take up to 2 years to complete. That's the latest from Riverside. I'm Victor Park for Loud Labs News.
2 years.
Wow. Not the 2 years part, but I think that was his biggest package yet.
Going through all the wreckage, it takes a little bit. Figuring out what caused the crash. It's not like an overnight.
Well, are they
thing,
working
right?
4-hour days here? Jesus Christ, come on, 2 years? That's
One of the things that I gathered from that and from the fire that I shot this morning is people are cool in time of need.
yeah.
We run into a lot of people that aren't cool, but in time of need, we just had 2 stories where Good Samaritans help save lives, and that's kind of awesome. So, America great again? We're already great. We've been great. We talking
That's
about
right. That's
great
right.
again. We got some good citizens here, and thank you so much Californians, Americans. Good job, man. All right. Yeah, you guys want to talk about that plane crash anymore? What you got?
Was that any of Mike's footage or Williams footage?
That was all Williams footage. Well,
across the lawn, there's no cell phone footage in that. Was there anybody?
I've seen cell phone footage on some of the stations. William didn't get any cell phone footage. I take that back. Mike got some cell phone footage as Mike was on his way to Kramer Junction
to the bus
a bus fatal, and while he was on his way to that is when this thing happened. He was able to generate some cell phone footage and send that out as part 1 real quick, and then William went there, did part 2, part 3, and
so
was able to get.
But by the time William got there, it was still smoking.
It was still smoking.
That's his
yeah,
footage.
It was still
across
smoking.
The street.
Yeah, and he was able to get two feeds of that, and I think then he ended up doing a third or a fourth, which had the caught on camera. And once he got the caught on camera, he was gold.
Yeah.
And then once we saw that, it's like, Victor, that's where your package is.
Yeah.
So Victor's package made its way to Riverside, and
also, what I noticed too in that footage there, I mean, that was really close to the metro line right there. I mean, do you see the train clocking by?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, the train clocked by in the neighborhood right there. I was thinking, I mean, that could have been, I mean, it seems like this neighborhood's in the flight path and the airport there from Riverside. Is it Riverside Airport?
I think so.
That could have been a lot worse. I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing video, though.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Crazy that family had such a weird experience. Went to Disneyland for a cheerleading.
That's how weird experiences happen. They just become weird.
Absolutely.
But that's a good job, William. Good job.
Thank you, William. And all right, we're going to get into our sponsors, and then we're going to get into the conversation with General Jeff. Sponsors, go. Obey Imaging Supplies, family owned and operated, located in the beautiful city of Huntington Beach, California. They offer original equipment, manufactured toner, and new compatible laser inkjet toner for all makes and models. They also carry all Fuser maintenance kits, drums, micro toner, and any accessories pertaining to your printing supplies. When it comes to your toner needs, call Obey Imaging Supplies, Inc. Call Obey Imaging Supplies, Inc. today at 877-535-6239 or check them out online, obeyimaging.com.
Market Fixtures Unlimited, the premier choice for all your supermarket and restaurant equipment needs. For over 50 years, Market Fixtures Unlimited has been serving the wonderful state of California, Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico. Whether you're looking for a brand new range to spruce up your restaurant's kitchen or a refurbished refrigerator unit for your supermarket, we can get all those products that you need. Let Market Fixtures Unlimited help you take your business from what it is now to what you know it's capable of being. Give Brian a call, 562-803-5553, or go to their website and check them out at marketfixturesunlimited.net.
Next up, we have Pedal Perfect. For all your flower needs and wants, call Pedal Perfect. They do it all. Weddings, parties, corporate events, you name it, call Pedal Perfect. Pedal Perfect offers local delivery in the Los Angeles and Orange County areas. Call Pedal Perfect at 562-631-6478 or connect with them on Facebook, or you can check them out on Instagram, pedal_perfect. Thanks, people. Now let's get to this conversation. Thank you, sponsors. Thank you. All right, it's Todd's turn.
Well, good morning, everybody. Today on the show we have Skid Row General Jeff is what he goes by. Your real name is just Jeff Page, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have you in today. Like I said, we always kind of talk to our audience and our viewers. I work downtown area. For the last 2 years I've been doing this job. I noticed that the homelessness problem in the area of what you would call Skid Row for the last, I don't know, I'd say 2 years I've been working. I know it's kind of like it's been growing, and when I go to calls down there, it's kind of it gets wild down there. It's not your typical community. And so like I said, we have you in here today, and we wanted to get a little bit more of an insight of your perspective on the community down there in Skid Row. So welcome to the show, Jeff, and
thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Let's start first with who you are.
Yeah, let's get to know Jeff a little bit.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to school? Where'd you grow up? And tell us a little bit about your history.
I'm homegrown Angelino, born and raised in South Central Los Angeles. Graduated from Crenshaw High School in what they call the Crenshaw District now. Grew up in sports and music. Was a state champion in high school basketball with the mighty Crenshaw Cougar basketball team. And so one of my teammates was Big John Williams. He went play 12 years professional ranks. So, we were serious about our basketball.
Yeah.
Still serious about my basketball now.
Is that what Paul Pierce came from, or was that?
No, he went to Inglewood High School.
Sorry.
Yeah. And plus, he was young. He was a younger cat. Yes, a little kid. He couldn't play with us. We was serious about our game back then. But it's just that there was just a rich history of some serious basketball in Los Angeles. So I got to Crenshaw right after Darryl Strawberry left. He got drafted by the New York Mets right out of high school, but he played on the basketball team.
Oh, yeah?
Crenshaw at the time under Coach Willie West was, he at that time he's the greatest basketball coach in CIF city history. I believe right now the coach over at Westchester just now broke Coach West's records.
Oh, wow.
So, we got a rich history of some tremendous basketball players here in the city. So I'm glad to, at least have my credentials, state champion.
Right. You're on the wall.
Bam. Got a banner up in the gym. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's good to be alumni. I go back a lot just to, try to speak to the kids, and we have alumni meetings, and so. It's kind of cool. Then I always have to dash by the gym, stop through, see what's going on. They see the new banners. Hey, where these new banners come from?
Right, of course.
Even our girls' teams put banners up. All right.
Yeah.
So, it was great. So, from there, I was actually, born and raised in South Central. So there's a school in South Central, a college called USC, and we called it University of South Central.
Right.
And so that was the only school that I wanted to play basketball for. But they didn't recruit me.
No.
So it's like, okay, that's cool. I'll go to a JC for 1 year, average 40, and then they'll recruit.
And then they'll want you.
Right. But unfortunately, I contracted cancer, Hodgkin's disease, and so that kind of like derailed my ambitions to go pro.
Right.
And so I'm a cancer survivor in full remission. And but at that time when I was doing the music, so understand that's the the 80s. So sports, music, so that's I'm a first generation West Coast hip hop pioneer.
I saw in your bio, you guys used to play the down at the LA Arena.
Sports Arena.
And you guys used to get like 10,000 listeners and party goers.
And so that was before I actually started making records. We were just DJs.
And it
playing
wasn't called
records.
hip hop, right?
No, it's called rap.
It was called rap at that time.
It was just rap.
Gotcha.
And so there's this branding thing that came later on. Sugar Hill Gang. I said a hip hop, a hippie to the hippie. Play that hip hop record,
There you go.
and it just it
That's
became
how it
hip
is,
hop.
yeah.
But it started off, it was rap.
Right, so when you guys say you were throwing parties down there, is that just like parking lot? Or,
No, it's in the building,
in the arena,
in the arena. Yeah.
No kidding.
So we had some folks. Some legitimate business folks that actually had money to invest.
Yeah.
And so it was a DJ crew called Uncle Jam's Army.
Yeah.
And so that was a draft of George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic that Uncle Jam Wants You. That was a takeoff of Uncle Sam Wants You, and so Uncle Jam Wants You, Uncle Jam's Army. So our DJ crew was Uncle Jam's Army. So we had recruited all the local talent. So we would do parties all throughout South Central, Long Beach, San Bernardino, Lancaster, Palmdale. We would even go up to even Oakland, and so people would just come, and there was no performances, just us DJing, rocking music,
and just so people on the floor dancing,
just
and
dancing,
shaking.
pop locking, break dancing, just boogalooing, just having a great time.
So who used to play in there? Is that that's what the Clippers used to play?
Clippers,
right?
absolutely.
The LA Arena.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
memories.
Yeah,
good times.
Good times.
And so then I went from I started off as a local DJ in my neighborhood where I grew up, and I was I just had a simple name, yeah. So Uncle Jam's Army. There we go. Yeah. Yes. Mother. Yeah. So that was woo. So there was this era where we started off playing records, and and then all of a sudden, the great rest in peace, Roger Clayton, who was the founder of Uncle Jam's Army, if you will, and he had this idea. Well, let's start making records, So we had he had a couple of investors that believed in what we were doing, and it was interesting. We had a reunion just before they tore the sports arena down. to build the new soccer stadium that's under construction now. We had a reunion, Uncle Jam's Army, and so it was like a reunion of alumni. And so one of the investors showed up, and he showed like the original contracts, like back in the '80s of when we had the contracts to rent the sports arena. So that was amazing. And so then rap on the East Coast, got big, and so Run DMC. Houdini, a lot of those crews. And so we were like the big West Coast promoters. Yeah. So we were the first ones that brought East Coast acts to LA.
West, yeah.
And so like Russell Simmons, all this like we're friends to this day. But the whole thing, they knew us, Uncle Jam's Army. So every time they did any kind of gigs on the West Coast, they would call us, they would hook up with us. We'll pick them up from the airport, roll them around, whatever we had to do. Yeah. And so that was amazing. And so of course, as they blew big, then, we were, as a matter of fact, we took Run DMC up to the Bay Area. And introduced them to the Bay, just really embraced it. And so a lot of people don't understand about hip hop. Like they say, like New York has this, this pride of ownership. Like, oh no, we invented hip hop. Hip hop is ours. Well, LA embraced it, and that's what legitimized it. And so when you got the West Coast and the East Coast, so that was a big thing.
East Coast and the beefs and all that stuff.
And so where were you at when the West Coast started making a name for themselves, which is NWA?
So the whole thing, so as DJs, Uncle Jam's Army, we were in South Central. So in Compton, there was another DJ crew called the World Class Wrecking Crew. And so Dr. Dre and DJ Yella were with that crew over there. And I was started by Lonzo Williams. And so when we started making records, then Wrecking Crew started making records. And so back and forth. And then everybody started branching out, doing their, solo gigs and things of that sort. And so Dre had found these other guys. He has a cousin named Sir Jinx, and Sir Jinx had his buddy named Ice Cube. And so when they brought them around, and then they met this other guy named Easy, and Easy had a buddy named Ren, and then they kind of met at the in Compton, and that's what they did
just
before.
Hearing that story.
So that those guys.
That history is awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
It
was actually because going back to just the DJ circuit, we were actually like rivals. Because we threw the biggest parties in LA. They threw the biggest parties. So, and they were expanding. So what we would do is, like overnight, we had this thing. They call it street teams in the music industry now. But before it was street teams, that's what we would do. So we would like go to the mall and just, make 20 guys and just hit everybody in the mall. Flyer, dance coming. Uncle Jim's like, Uncle Jim, So then what we do in the streets, though, we get these posters, and we would have teams and go up. They start on this side of town, we start on this side of town, and in every intersection, would just hit them up, just bam, 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 posters everywhere. And so there was a thing where, we put up our posters one night for our Thanksgiving jam. And then, you go back and see your flyers, and then, okay, where did our posters go? Why is Wrecking Crew's there? Why are their Thanksgiving jam posters up? Hold on, we got to go to their event. Hold on, what's up with this, bro?
To this day, that still happens a lot, with people be posting up over everybody else's posters, for events and parties and shows.
Right, and so then we went over there like, okay, we gonna wreck their party, and so, and then it was also, a lot of, at that time in the 80s, this gang culture, this undertone, and so we were kind of, Uncle Jam was so big, it was majority, like Crips Crip gang that would come to our functions. Yeah. And then it was, Compton, it was majority Bloods that would go to Wrecking Crew. Right. So when we roll up in, you see a sea of red, and it's like, oh, we're used to seeing blue, and it was a other thing, but we wound up squashing it, and Roger and Lonzo talked it out.
It'd be about just the music.
It was a thing, and so that was my first time seeing Dr. Dre spin, and it was like, they can rock. You hear about it, then you finally see him. Okay, I get it. They're cool.
What did you think about the depiction of the Straight Outta Compton movie?
Yeah, that's my era of hip hop, and so I knew. So I mean, they hit it.
Do you think the movie? Do you like the movie? It was good.
Yeah. I mean, they left out a lot. Don't get me wrong, they left out a lot, but it was for a movie for what it was. No, that was excellent because they really told the truth.
Yeah, I liked it. I think it was a good. Good story.
Yeah, it was a great energy. Yeah, and so then when I hooked up, our top DJ with Uncle Jam's Army was Egyptian Lover. And so he's touring the world right now. So he's like electronic hip hop, like Planet Rock, African by the Soul Sonic Force. Right. And so that was his thing. And so I wanted to do a solo album, and I called Egypt. I had some a meeting set up with some industry folks, and it was like, Egypt, I want you to hear my demo before I go with these meetings. And he said, man, I just came out of the studio, and I'm about to go on tour in 2 weeks. Do you want to play in my band? And I was like, but I just said I got my own thing. Like, hold on. So, it's interesting looking back in life is that these forks, and if I went solo, then who knows? I could have been, who knows? But anyway, so I decided to go on tour with Egypt, and then through that, I met this other guy. He was a 16-year-old kid at the time, Rodney O. And so then Rodney O was working on this thing, and we had another DJ cat from Compton, Joe Cooley. And so then Rodney O, Joe Cooley, that was a big. I mean, we made classic records, West Coast classics, and so, because it was a whole thing it was a transition where the electronic hip hop, the Planet Rock thing was kind of phasing out, and the hardcore hip hop was really coming in, and so we kind of like morphed and started doing our thing, and then that thing went big, and so when we were doing that was right when NWA started to come around, and so, and of course, we know, they're, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now.
We know what they hit their stride.
But it was interesting because, when I would write raps, my whole thing is, we were conscious of, my whole thing, I've always been respectful. Even our videos, we never exploited women, the bikinis and the turn up. We're not doing that. We just need party people. I come from DJs, Uncle Jam's Army, it's about the party. Party people, let's celebrate, let's dance, So when we're writing raps, it was, that kind of a thing. And so NWA, cut through the mode because they were like, straight out the cut, M&F this. And, I mean, they were keeping it raw, and just Ice Cube was just a prolific writer, and he had this dynamic voice.
Absolutely.
And it just set this new tone, and then everybody just shifted over there, and gangster rap became a thing, and it, everybody knows
and
what
with
that is.
voices and gangster rap, where was Ice-T in all this?
Well, Ice-T, especially, because he learned how to rap on the East Coast. So he's kind of like bi-coastal if you had family there, and so he would go back and forth. But he grew up in the street. So he went to Crenshaw High School, too. So, as soon as I got there, Strawberry left, Ice-T had left, and so it's like, it was just this energy there. And so Ice-T was with these cats, but they would still come to the school. And so when our young, era was there, and so we would listen, it's Ice-T. So I knew him from the streets. But then they had underground clubs here, Radiotron, and things of that sort. So Ice-T was like one of the baddest rappers in the streets.
Right.
And so obviously when it came time to make, Hollywood found out about, rap music, and they went to make the movies Breaking In and all that stuff. So Ice-T was like, his name was popping everywhere in the streets. So we got to get this guy. And so then, Ice-T already had the rep. He had, he knew some cats on the East Coast, and so he became kind of like, the godfather of West Coast rap is what they knew him on the East Coast. Because our records, we hadn't broken into the New York market yet. So I didn't get to New York until it was like 84, 85. But Ice-T was already established in New York.
That's about the time Colors came out? That's him, right? That's him in the front running.
Yeah.
So that's about the same time he started to get some, some Hollywood recognition.
Sure, absolutely. And so then, and that's when, we started learning about the industry. It's not just about your record, but then we do a movie, then you have different budgets. It's the album budgets, the movie budget, and it was like, so Ice-T had like all this energy, and so, he capitalized on that. And and we're just proud of him to this day that somebody from the West Coast, and he's still he morphed into acting.
Yeah, he's doing Geico commercials.
Oh, that's amazing commercial.
Lemonade,
Ice-T. No, Ice-T is lemonade, man. Read the sign.
Read the sign.
Yeah. So I saw him. Last time I saw Ice was last year. He has this thing called the Art of Rap. And he takes the tour around and gets a lot of the older guys, the OGs of hip hop, East Coast, West Coast. And
he had
so
a
I went to the show.
documentary come out, I think 2 years ago. He had something on the history of hip hop and how it evolved over time and where it came from. And
is that the one that has the Kanye freestyle? Is that the one that has the Kanye freestyle? I think that might be. I think it might be. And there's a freestyle of Kanye probably done about 6-7 years ago. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I remember it was to the point I'm like, I have to show Chad this.
Yeah.
And it was a good one.
When we talk about Kanye, I just have to give him his props. Like the very first record I ever heard him do was Jesus Walks. And from a producer standpoint, because I write, rap, produce, but from a producer standpoint, that's just a greatly produced record. It's just amazing, the elements. And I was like, I don't know who this kid is.
All his video production and his first when he jumped out, man, he had some
came out,
people behind him and talented.
Yeah.
Talent.
Yeah. And so, so then so at being in the industry, touring around the world, and I got basically, got tired of living out of a suitcase. and I just wanted to go home, sleep in my bed. There were times we go on tour, come to L.A., do a show, and then have to go right after the show, hit the airport, and go to the next town. It's like I'm flying. Hey, I live right there.
There it goes.
There's my bed. Oh, my home. Oh, and so after a while, it's like, okay, I got homesick, and it was like, let me go home. And so I had this theory that I want to have, if all the athletes and entertainers, that especially ones that come from the inner cities, if they took care of where they're from, the inner cities would be a lot better. And especially in LA, we got so much talent here. And so that was that was the whole thing all throughout my rap career. It's like I got to create some kind of pattern, some kind of solution to where we help our own communities. And so when I was doing that, the gang culture was just so difficult to get two enemy gangs or multiple enemy gangs. Hey, I'll pay for it. Let's break bread. Eat, drink, and be merry. We'll laugh and talk, find some common denominators, and then we'll get to some solutions. But that didn't work. And so the whole thing was, okay, look, nobody bring guns. Let's just nobody bring guns. But wait, those are enemies, and they're bringing guns.
Did you ever get to the point where
it was
these
a serious thing? That's what I'm telling you. I'm reenacting the meetings, and this was literally conversations I was having in the meetings. They're like, well, we ain't coming because we'll come, but we bringing our guns. We bringing our way because our enemies, if they want to see. So I'm saying, no, guys, no guns. Let's just talk and just trust me. Like, no, this is a plan, and you're in on it. And we know where you live, where your mama lives. So if something goes bad, we get killed. We killing you. We killing your mama. Well, guys, whoa. And so throughout all of that energy, somebody said, well, if you really want to help people, why don't you go to Skid Row? It's like, no, I'm not trying to do all of that. I'm just trying to help where I'm from. And it just got so frustrating. And finally, let me go see what this Skid Row thing is about. And so then I went there. I didn't know anything. I don't know the lingo. I don't really know what's going on. And so I actually went back to South Central. I reduced myself to a state of homelessness on purpose, just so I could understand. Because the house that I was born and raised in South Central, my family still owns to this day. So I don't know about displacement, movement. I don't know. I don't know that. I see it, but I don't know it. And so I felt like, it's kind of like when you hear about acting and they say, you do the research and you really just get
acting,
all right.
Okay.
And so I took that philosophy and I reduced myself to a state of homelessness. I had $1,000.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I became homeless by choice.
Okay.
And so I had $1,000 in my sock. Nobody knew, just in case as an experiment went bad. Like, let me go get a hotel room, get a shower, a meal,
clean up and get out.
Okay. And so, but anyway, so I'm staying in abandoned warehouses.
That's what I was getting. Like, what did you do?
I stayed. I slept on the street. Just and hung out with people that were homeless. Winding up in crack houses and all kinds of places. It was crazy.
You had no friends or anybody or connections down here from
No, not in Skid Row. I didn't know anybody. So, but I was in still South Central first. Let me go in my safe confines.
Sure.
Because I don't know what I'm doing. I kind of feel I feel something, but let me see it, test the waters first, and see if I can handle this. And then after a while, it's just a totally different world. And like going to a whole different country where nobody speaks English, and you're trying to, it was that kind of a thing. And so finally, I thought, okay, this is really unbearable, but let's give it a shot. And so I went to Skid Row. Actually, I had two suitcases. I had a backpack full of clothes, and I had a suitcase. A rolling suitcase with my drum machine in there, because my whole thing is if my phone rings, like Snoop Dogg calls and says, "Yo, come to South." You know what? Yeah, let's go. Because I wasn't sure.
LAX,
right? So I wasn't sure if this was really, if I really was committed to this.
This is a straight up experiment that you were working on and had it planned out in your head, and how are you going to go about this and get yourself into Skid Row and really start to figure this out.
Yeah, this was early 2000, and then in 2006 is when I literally moved to August 2006 when I moved to Skid Row. And I literally just rolled into town. Just
walked in.
There's a mission, the Midnight Mission on 6th Street, and they have this 24-hour courtyard. And I rolled up in there. It was like, oh, okay, let me sit here for a while. Excuse me. And so I remember sitting there for like 3 days. I didn't know anybody. I'm just basically listening and trying to get a feel for the flow of the community. And there were a couple of guys like off to the side that kind of ran the courtyard. And so I'm like, okay, who are these guys? Let me go connect with these guys. And we hit it off. And then I started from there. And then from there, I wound up staying indoors. The Union Rescue Mission was a half a block away. I stayed there for about 30 days. Then I left. Like, okay, wait a minute. And I came back. Okay, let me catch my breath. And I went back. And then I met some guy. There was a crazy story. Some guy walking down the street. I said, "Hey man, good to see you. How you been?" I've never seen this man before in my life, but he swear like he knew me. And so then he's saying, hey, man, I just got my new place. Come check my new place. Wait, what is he? Come to your place. I don't even know. Like, who is this dude?
Yeah.
And he was just on. So I shook him that day. And the very next day I saw, hey, man, why don't you come check my place out? Brand new place. Okay. I don't know what this means. So I went in there. There's a little SRO. I don't even know what SRO means. Single room occupancy. It's low income housing.
Okay.
Go in there. It's like, okay. He said, no, man, it's great. This building just opened. They got some availability. You should sign up, to whatever. If I'm gonna be here, I'd rather be indoors than out in the street.
Right.
Let's get a headquarters, and then we can try to figure out from there. So I signed 2 weeks later. I had a place, and so that's pretty much. Then I started getting more out into the community. And then my whole thing was like, okay, I need to see signs of life, because if I'm gonna, do this, how do I know that this community even wants help? Or I don't know if they just lawlessness, if they just don't care and want to be left alone, whether they want to get high, drunk, whatever it is, But so I went there, I found out, I saw a guy bouncing a basketball walking across the street, and it's like, basketball, hey, there's a memory. So I'm like, hey, where do guys go? You play basketball around here?
What do we shoot?
And he looked at me like, duh, Gladys Park. And he walked off, and it was like, am I supposed to, I guess he took
get involved in a
everybody
pickup
knows.
game, yeah.
And so I don't even know where Gladys Park is. And so I remember asking, hey man, where's Gladys Park? Oh, it's right down the street. So, 3 blocks away from where I was living. I had no idea. So I go there, and and then it was, the park was in just deplorable conditions. A 2 half-court basketball courts. The poles are leaning, no nets, rims bent, the balls, poorly deflated balls.
Yeah.
And, you bounce it wouldn't even bounce back. It just poof.
Yeah.
So, pick it up, shoot, get out the net, pick it up. So I was doing free throws. So then there's this little old, this older guy. Hey man, I want you to help me start this basketball league. Like, what? Excuse me. So get away from what? Like,
Is that OG?
And that was OG, at the time.
OG?
So a couple of times. So then finally, I give him let me see what this guy's talking about. Every time I say, hey man, I want you to help me start this basketball league. Who is this guy? So I went and talked to him, and then come to find out he's like this prolific genius, thought-provoking, thinks outside of the box, and he's talking about all these solutions and ideals that he has. And I was like, you know what? This is the signs of life here. And so, we helped start this basketball, Skid Row 3-on-3 Street Ball League. And we started in 2007. He was doing this Father's Day event, and, it pretty much started from there. And so then we had that first season. And then in the off season, he and I co-founded Operation Facelift Skid Row, which is a community cleanup campaign. We got some donated brooms. We would clean up. And so then in 2008, being an athlete, the half-court basketball just wasn't enough for me. So I figured, well, we can go to Wrecking Parks and get them to reconfigure the baskets to actually face each other and repaint the lines, we can get a little, up and down action.
Yeah.
And then we can actually, improve that. And so then we wound up getting this. That was my first big project. And so then we reached out Nike and LA84 Foundation, the folks that did the 84 Olympics. They would give donated basketball courts and tennis courts to underserved communities. So, we reached out to them. Next thing you know, they said, yes, we'll give you basketball. So basketball court, Wrecking Parks, they added bleachers and chess tables and shade structures, fitness equipment. And so the Skid Row resident created a $500,000 project. And so I'll hit some media up, from being in the industry. Let me hit the media, release a press release. And basically some news guys, they were like, positive news in Skid Row is not newsworthy. And I was stunned. They're like, what? It's not. Right. So I was hurt. I thought, okay, that's cool. Just got to do more. We haven't done enough. And so then when I was there, I was trying to go to the different meetings and really get a sense of the community. There's one guy I befriended. And he's like, hey, man, I'm going to this birthday celebration. Why don't you come with us, like, at this, such and such a place? It was a nonprofit organization. They had a program. I don't know anything about it. Let me just go, I have nothing to do. Let me go see what's going on. So then it was like, hey, man, so-and-so and such and such is 4 years old today. 4 years old? And everybody's, hey, well, I don't understand. This is a grown man. What do you mean he's 4 years old? But they meant 4 years in sobriety. And so they celebrate their birthdays of how many years it be. I don't know any of this. And so, so that's how different the mindset was. Like I got so much to learn. And so then what really motivated me to become a community activist, I went to another place. They had a graduation, and they said, oh, this program started this year, 100 people. Right now, we have 15 people that, finished the program. Let's, here we go, 15 people out of, and so everybody gets, so I'm thinking, wait a minute, so out of 100, that's 15% success rate. what happened to the other 85 people? That's an 85% failure rate, and they're getting millions and millions of dollars annually to run a 15% success rate of a program. Like, the bar is set too low. We got to expect more. They got to do more. Something's going wrong. Let me look into let me see what's going wrong and see if we can go. And that's kind of where I started. And so in 2007, I started my own Issues and Solutions. Let me get my own grassroots organization.
Yeah.
And let's go for it. And so with the momentum from the Gladys Park Improvement Project, the basketball league and all that momentum, so then people were encouraging me to run for the Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council, where they have a seat to represent the Skid Row residents. And so I ran for that seat, and I won 3 consecutive terms.
And speaking of that, I read somewhere that they didn't even have a representative. You were basically the single representative for the community until you. There wasn't really anybody that was.
That seat was there before me, but the guy, 6 years, he just like I had it for 3 years. 6 years, 3 terms. There was another guy before me that had 3 terms, but he totally didn't do anything for the community.
Right.
So he would just go to me, all in favor?
Right.
But what is he? It's totally ineffective. And so when I came in there, and then all of a sudden, I put some equity in the seat, is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
And we got some notoriety and got some momentum going. And so that's all of a sudden people started to take notice, like, oh, this seat matters. Or this board matters, or this guy matters, this community matters. And so the concept then with me, is basically to take Skid Row, who is a historically negative place, the homeless capital of America, and let's keep the name, and let's go from a negative place to a positive place, and let's just change the energy. Because the concept is, what is Skid Row? Is Skid Row a place where people go to heal, or is Skid Row a place where people go to get out of the way of society? And so we have to look at the really concepts of what's really going on. And so we're trying to redefine Skid Row in the process. We've been doing this for over 10 years now, 10.5 years, and so we've really changed the mindset in a lot of different ways. Something as simple, a lot of people always talk about being on Skid Row. From a geographical place, I live in Skid Row.
Yes.
To live on Skid Row is a state of mind. So where there's homelessness, where it's mentally ill, where there's, in an addicted state of mind or whatever it is. I don't live on Skid Row, I live in Skid Row. And so just the terminology, a lot of people always say, oh, I've been down there. Well, on the totem pole of life, why do we have to be down there? Why can't it be over there?
Sure.
So there's this subconscious mindset that we've all pretty much been programmed, and we just belittle Skid Row in all kinds of shapes, fashions, and forms. So right now, I'm the chair of the Skid Row Neighborhood Council Formation Committee, and so we're in the process of creating the Skid Row Neighborhood Council to create our own governing body that, where the residents can have a seat at or have our own table.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get a seat at their table, but let's create our own table and to be recognized by the city of Los Angeles, and then we can actually create the real solutions that not only can help homelessness in Skid Row in downtown Los Angeles, but across the entire city of Los Angeles.
I was reading some reports yesterday and a couple days ago about some of the city officials that are they're trying to clean up all their first big act in the downtown area was like the Broadway, and when they cleaned up Broadway, they basically in the reports that I was reading, I kind of read that you were kind of people were saying when it comes up to the votes, they just want to what they call gentrify and move the people just further and further into this little what Skid Row allocated for basically what they would the homelessness will push them all into that area right there. But I read in the report that says you guys, none of you guys have even stepped foot in Skid Row. You don't know anything about the positive things that are trying to happen in Skid Row. So I can see why you guys when you go to the votes, you're not asking anybody or involved in any of the programs that are happening or asking anybody how we feel down there. So the gentrifying of the neighborhood, how do you feel about that? There's on one hand, people are trying to clean it up, and I understand that they're trying to make lofts and restaurants and have some sort of a business and commerce in the area, but at the same time, you're right. They are, there's got to be a happy medium. You got to involve the community to figure out what's the best, what's the best solution.
Well, there's so much into that, and people often talk about Skid Row and downtown Los Angeles and gentrification and downtown revitalization, and they smash it all together. Let me separate all of that, and let's isolate and dissect some of what you were talking about. So first of all, let's understand Skid Row. Skid Row, there was not a whole bunch of homeless folks or a whole bunch of, drug dealers or gangbangers that said, hey, we're just going to go take over this area. Skid Row was created by politicians and, well-to-do folks in the city of Los Angeles, going back to, the mid-'70s when then Governor Ronald Reagan, they attributed to him when he defunded the state-run mental institutions and basically released the folks. But then the whole thing, the well-to-do folks were saying, hey, we don't want them coming in our communities, so keep them away from us. So they created the Skid Row containment zone. So there's this area where downtown Los Angeles at that time was basically Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So then at night and on the weekends, you can just have this area. So whatever you want to do it here. Just don't go outside this containment zone. So LAPD was entrusted to keep everybody there. And so when we talk about that, from the mid-'70s. Then in 2006, through the pressure of the interest of the newfound interest of the downtown revitalization, 2006, that's when LAPD started Safer Cities Initiative, and they're going to clean up the area. So, but now let's understand the timeline from 1975 to 2006. That's 31 years where basically they let Skid Row happen. When they let it happen, I mean, of course, it morphed and it festered into this huge, negative cesspool that. It's at an uncontrollable state now. Yeah. And so, now LAPD is trying to do more, but they're trying to arrest people and criminalize people, and that solution is not going to work. And so, of the city budget, LAPD gets over 50% of the budget, and as it applies to Skid Row, they're just trying to arrest people, and you can't arrest your way out of homelessness.
Right. What is that called? That's called the Safe City Initiative, but they just renamed it, right? They just
reset
to reset, right? And I also read that some people are kind of saying, it's just you just changed the name, but it's still the same. It's basically the same. What I think one guy called it different name, same old smell, as the way he categorized it.
So me as a community activist, and after I gotten years and years of my finger on the pulse of the community, I finally realized the two biggest problems in Skid Row are the Skid Row nonprofits and the Los Angeles Police Department. And a lot of people don't understand that. They don't like what I say, so a lot of times they don't agree with me. And, because in terms of America, it's like the law enforcement is the first line of defense, so they don't want to go against that. I understand that, but I'm just telling the truth. I'm just the messenger. And so
what is the problem with LAPD in your eyes? What is the biggest problem with the policing the Skid Row area?
Well, again, when we said from 75 to 2006, let's start there. They let crime happen.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're containing it all.
Right.
Do you have numbers for that? Do you have numbers?
Do I have numbers? I don't keep numbers. Data and statistics. I call it fluff because anybody can just pull a number. Oh, there's a 12% increase, a decrease in crime. LAP. I don't do numbers. I do it. Truth. Truth, not alternative facts and, all this kind of stuff. Right. And so understand. So when we talk about, okay, let's start with the first 35 years. And now when we talk about Los Angeles Police Department, we have to go back. I mean, it goes back to the days of Prohibition. You do the research in the early days of the founding of the city of Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Police Department has always been involved in some form of corruption. Sure. Then in the 80s, when the crack cocaine epidemic happened, and when that's when it hit the inner city. Los Angeles Police Department was involved.
And CIA was
and the CIA, right, and the LAPD department was the escorts that helped bring it in.
Yeah.
So they've all
they're not without fault.
So knowing that they're there, and so LAPD is also caused a lot of trauma. In 1965, the Watts riots, even though it was created, that the incident involved the CHP officers, California Highway Patrol, but then when Los Angeles Police Department came, that's when it escalated to, it was a big, huge, the Watts riot. 1992, the Rodney King riots. In 2010, it was the MacArthur Park May Day situation, the 90s Rampart scandal. I mean, you go on. So there's all this trauma that Los Angeles Police Department has caused, and they haven't owned up to anything. They haven't apologized for anything. And so there's a lot of people, homegrown Angelenos, that are walking around living with trauma, with stress, with fear of the police, intimidation tactics, and all this stuff. And now a lot of them are mentally ill, and they're in Skid Row, and they're trying to get help. And then the Skid Row nonprofits, don't help that because they're poverty pimping. So now you got all this funding that's going. So the Los Angeles Police Department's annual budget is $1.5 billion. So the whole thing is, how do they justify $1.5 billion? Because if they cut crime in half, they're not going to cut their budget in half. They're going to try to increase it. But so now these are the methods LAPD increase their budget. So the Metro subway stations patrol ever since day one by because it's a county situation. And so the sheriff's department, LAPD just took over that contract, $787 million annually. And so now they're trying to grow their funding. Police unions and all that, trying to keep their employees happy, which I understand so it's a business.
No,
And Chief Charlie Beck, any chief that's in right now is Chief Charlie Beck. He's the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. So they're running it as a business. So in order to run it as a business, they're not trying to end crime. They're letting crime happen.
Okay, so let's get back to that. So what I'm saying is, my question to you, Jeff, is then with the police officers, because with the police officers, they increased. I think they put like 54 more officers in the Skid Row area, a police officer for basically every block. What is the problem you see with the way? I mean, with the way they're handling the day-to-day in Skid Row? I mean,
well, understand, because I have to cut into some of that, because what the narrative that LAPD's pushing out there is not the truth. I'm pushing the truth. So when they started Safer Cities Initiative, and they said we're going to put 50 extra cops out there, what they did was they created overtime hours and gave it to officers that were already there. There were no 50. You didn't, I was out. You don't see 50 new guys. They spread those out. That's what they said on paper. That's what they sent out to the people.
That's
and they spread that
yeah.
because they're getting their guys paid. So it's a business. They're running. It's a business. And so they spread the equivalent to 50 new officers' hours to guys that are already there. So they got beefed up their contracts, or whatever. But they still let Skid Row happen.
Yeah.
So when Safer Cities Initiative, that wasn't some big multi-billion-dollar high-tech covert operation where it was just all these quality of life crimes, jaywalking, public intoxication. So now if they're just now finally basically doing their job in 2006, what have they been doing for 30 years? So that proves
nothing. That's what I'm saying.
Right. So they let Skid Row happen, but now they want to point. So now their excuse is, the riffraff, it's the drug dealers, it's the gambler, it's the homeless, it's the you point fingers at us. They've even called me a drug dealer and things of that. So I'm out there trying to be a positive president. Yeah. I'm not a crime fighter. I'm a community activist. That's two different things. I'm trying to activate. So I need LAPD to perform, to do better.
Right.
I need them to do what they do so I can do what I do. And if they're not doing what they do, then I can't do what I do on a high level. And so that's why I hold LAPD accountable. And so I'm not anti-police.
No, absolutely.
So I just want to clearly establish that. But the problem is, I call it as I see it, as like a watchdog, just like any other nonprofit watchdog groups that oversee, folks. And this is our taxpayer dollars, and it is not an effective strategy.
What doesn't make sense to me either. I was reading that they're ticketing for like selling Lucy's, what they call Lucy cigarettes, and jaywalking, and basically you can't sit down. You can't sit down in front of any of the businesses or on a curb or a sidewalk, or they can ticket you. But there's a guy I was reading that they've been in and out of court 10, 15 different times but they don't have a job. How are you paying for this? Like I get that the police are generating tickets and they're sending people to court, but it just seems like what's happening is they're ticketing people that one can't afford to pay for the crime. Two, what happens is they end up, not going to court and they get a bench warrant, which goes to the warrant. The next time they get picked up, it's like straight to county jail. This guy, I was reading, he's been in and out of county. He says he's more familiar with the people inside of county lockup than he is with the people that he lives with out on Skid Row.
Absolutely. So understand, that's just a system to create jobs. So whether it's, if people understood how many jobs are created but just at the presence of one homeless person, of course, there's law enforcement, you have, the hospital, the fire department, the nurses, when they go to court, it's, the bailiffs, the court reporters, the judge, and it just goes on. Emergency hospital, doctors, nurses, and, pharmaceutical lab folks, and it just from the presence of one homeless person, even the transportation, whether it's the ambulance, the police cars. So then it's like the mechanics, the gas companies, all the way, the construction folks and whatever. And so it's like it's industries. Homelessness creates industries. So let's do simple math. Let's say there's 1 million homeless people. All of a sudden, you just created 1 million jobs to take care of them, right? So as long as homelessness exists, you create jobs. So like when the president talk about State of the Union, we want to grow the middle class. That's what the previous president that just left. But in Skid Row, what that means is, create homelessness, because when you go from 1 million homeless to 2 million homeless, you just created the jobs to go from 1 million to 2 million also. So now on paper, when you talk about data and statistics, now you have the justification for actually distributing more funding to the nonprofits. So you're creating industry, you're creating jobs as the middleman, this market, this niche to take care of homeless people, because you can't give us the money directly. So, okay, you give the money to the nonprofits to take care of them. So now the nonprofits realize, hey, we got a good thing going here. So as long as homelessness continues to happen, we'll continue to get funded. And the CEOs and executive directors are making six-figure salaries, driving luxury cars, living in luxury homes, putting the kids through the finest of collegiate institutions, having a wonderful life. And so, right, exactly. And so the whole thing, there's no oversight, no transparency. We're talking about all the way to HUD and Washington, D.C. So as a community activist, I've tried to address homelessness in Skid Row on three, local politics, state politics in Sacramento, and federal politics in Washington, D.C. And they all just keep passing the buck, pointing fingers or whatever. We reached out to HUD locally, Washington, D.C. We reached our politicians, our Congress folks and senators and assembly, and everybody's passing the buck, and everybody's just letting it happen. So as it letting it happen, and then when I do the research, you see homelessness in America is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So now when you got a lot of these nonprofits, not only the small local nonprofits like the ones that are in Skid Row, but then now you get the more national, prominent, from United Way to all these folks, and so then the international folks, and so the whole thing, they're all on it, the poverty pimp. So now when they got pushed their marketing slogan, we want to end homelessness. We want to end homelessness, but the whole thing, they're not ending homelessness. Homelessness is transferring from person A to person B. That's not ending homelessness. So you see data and statistics when they say, oh, we've housed, let's say 10,000 people this year. Okay, well, how many of those people got evicted? How many people got evicted within 30 days, 90 days, 6 months? So if they get evicted, how long do you take them off your numbers of the 10,000? No, they don't never knock those numbers down. They keep promoting one side of the picture, and they're selling everybody a dream. So we, the people, we only see half the story. Like when they walk with Kobe Bryant and end homelessness, all these marketing campaigns, money schemes. And so, they walk, not even walking through Skid Row, but they're helping the homeless folks, and they're walking somewhere in the safe confines. Oh, celebrity photo ops and all this stuff, people donating all this millions and millions of dollars. Then they go home to the people, we go to their cozy homes, and the homeless people are still homeless. They're not ending homelessness. And so there's a whole lot of underlying truths that a lot of people really don't know about, that as a Angelino, homegrown Angelino, somebody that really cares, that's really, on the inside, because, right now the majority of the Skid Row community is African American. So I'm like, a lot of people trying to throw solutions, from the outside. Well, I'm African American. Let me go in, blend in, and help from the inside. And then I'm just basically reporting on what I see. And what I see is not good, this environment. So LAPD's creating jobs for themselves. The nonprofits are creating jobs for themselves. And they're as long as homelessness continues.
Like you said, they're basically just containing that homeless in that same area, but using new revenue streams, and like I said, new businesses. And so, but okay, then what is it, Jeff? Then how is it then people can help? What is
as an average citizen? What can we do? And I have another question about that too. Sorry, Todd. When somebody comes up and says, "Can I have some money?" What do we do?
Hey, point them to the mission. Because the whole thing, we need money for, money for drugs. No, that's just going to perpetuate. So if I'm hungry, okay, go to the mission. So everybody's, a lot of folks, in need. A lot of folks really, they're just, trying to get some money for, personal purposes.
Right.
Yeah, I almost want to do a social experiment right now. Like if we were to walk out there with you,
yep,
and let's say I have $100, I have 5 20s.
Yep.
What could we do with that? How could we help? Or do you know people that it would help? Or do you know people like, no, you probably shouldn't give that guy $20?
Well, that depends on, first of all, let's go deeper than that. What is your definition of help? Because you're not going to end anybody's homelessness.
No, you're not.
$20, $100, you give them $1,000. Maybe that get them good for a day or two, or a moment or two, an hour or two. That's not, that's what exacerbating the problem. You're enabling it to continue. So now the goodness of your nature, and it's not the individual, it's the system. The system is broken. And so all we're doing is adding on and piling on and condoning a system that's already broken and not working. So we have to fix the system. But let me explain it another way. Let's compare Skid Row as a place, where people are supposed to rehabilitate, get their lives together, get back on their feet. So let's compare Skid Row to a hospital. It's also a place of rehabilitation. And so as people rehabilitate, you go in a hospital, and so we're talking about spiritually, like subconsciously. When the person goes into a hospital, you see it's clean, you smell, it's disinfectant, it's sanitized. Subconsciously, your body says, okay, this is a place where I can allow myself to heal. When you go to Skid Row, it's germs, it's disease, urine, feces, smell, this thing. Subconsciously, your body won't allow yourself to heal. So it's the environmental issues, it's the structure, it's the systems itself, and they keep coming up with these marketing schemes and gimmicks that are stacking up, and all they're doing now is generating funding. Measure HHH, that's $1.2 billion. Now, on the ballot coming up March 7th is Measure H, single H, which, $350 million over 10 years with over $3.5 billion at the end of that. So now we're trying to combine nearly $5 billion of new revenue. But understand, we the people, the American taxpayers, we're already paying into a funding pot going to Uncle Sam. They take tax. We don't pay tax. They take tax. And then out of that big funding pot, money comes out of that to deal with homelessness. So what about that money? And then that's going to law enforcement. So the money's going out. Where's the accountability? We've been screaming out about that. So now they got these citizens oversight commissions because, activists like us are crying foul. And so now, but the whole thing, a lot of people on the outside saying they really don't want to deal with the problem. So if there's, let's say Old Man Joe is sitting on the corner, 5th and Main Street, and he's been there for 20 years. Oh, let's give old man Joe a sandwich, or let's give him a blanket. It's cold outside, or let's get. So it's a two-pronged problem, because old man Joe is like, well, there's no need for me to leave because people are bringing me everything I need.
Me up.
And so then also too, the people are like, well, you're keeping it going because you're just, you're doing the bare minimum. And people are like, are they really giving out of the kindness of their heart? Are they like relieving themselves of any type of true obligation in terms of the problem,
Guilt.
the bigger, that kind of a thing. And so we need to look at the system. We need to fix the system. And so that's why in Skid Row, we're creating the Skid Row Neighborhood Council. I'm the chair of the formation committee.
So you can control what happens in the money and the funding that goes into the
Well, not everything. The nonprofits, the poverty pimps, they're going to continue to get their funding. But the whole thing is, as a recognized governing body, we actually have a collective voice from our community that we can actually speak to the actual problems, and we can do something more about it. So when we talk about Los Angeles Police Department from a standpoint of not critics, but concerned citizens. This is our community. We live here. So when we talk about gentrification, Skid Row's not going anywhere. It's time to embrace Skid Row. If this is really a place that is really helping people, well, then why are we so shy and scared to talk about it and recognize that it exists? Just like, we don't change the name. It's really Central City East. Well, that doesn't say where. The Central City East is like saying, Beverly Hills adjacent. It's the area next to the real area.
No, Century City.
Right. So we're not adjacent to, we're not next to, we're not east of. Where are we standing? This is Skid Row. Let's claim it. Let's clean it up. Let's hold everybody accountable. And so now with there are affordable housing covenants on the low-income housing units. There are protections that say no developers can come in and gentrify this and displace homeless folks. So if you want to come in and get this building, you have to replace it one for one. Every unit you take away, you got to put that somewhere else. So in essence, if they want to come and take over SRO in Skid Row, they've got to replenish that somewhere. Yeah. So in essence, they'll be buying two buildings, and that's not cost effective for them. So that's not going to happen. So affordable housing covenants last for up to 55 years, and so then they can be extended after that. So then, combined with the SROs, the low-income housing units, there are 4 major missions in Skid Row. Fred Jordan Mission has been there over 65 years. Los Angeles Mission has been over 75 years. Midnight Mission has been there over 100 years. And Union Rescue Mission has been over there, since 1891. That's over 125 years. Yeah. Now, to put that in historical perspective, 1891, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves in 1863. So less than 30 years later, the Union Rescue Mission was created. And so, you think Abraham Lincoln, that's so, American history. That's, well, less than 30 years after that. And they're still here, 125 years, and they put out these banners and have all these wonderful, awards and festivities. But the whole thing, what are you celebrating? 125 years, the problem still exists. Right. And arguably it's worse than it's ever been, especially in our era of downtown Los Angeles right now. So exactly, we don't see the problem. Like you just said, how you start off this segment, it's expanding, it's getting worse. But the whole thing is, as it gets worse, then I can generate more money. That's poverty pimping at its best.
So when it comes to volunteering, Out of those 4 places that you mentioned, where do you suggest somebody goes if they want to volunteer?
Let me explain to you. I represent the residents of Skid Row. There's 2 sides to the story, to every story. Historically, all everybody have heard is the narrative from the combination of the Skid Row nonprofits, Los Angeles Police Department, and the politicians and those type of folks. I represent the residents, so we start a positive movement. We don't support that. So my whole thing is, if all the nonprofits are poverty pimping in Skid Row, I don't support any of them. So I'm not going to tell anybody, go be a part of the problem. Go volunteer over here and be. So I went to one of the missions. I won't say which one. I've tried to be as respectful as possible. I mean, you're sure they do some things, but they're the only game in town. Gotcha. I mean, it's just like, if they were really doing something so great, it's just like a restaurant. If they serve great food, it'd be a line around the corner.
Sure.
Oh my God, this is the greatest blah 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 served ever. Yeah. It'd be a line. Social media, it's amazing. Food trucks, they can just pull up, tweet out something and hit, line around the corner. Everybody's waiting for hours to get, whatever. So, if these missions were really turning out a great product, how come people aren't kicking in the doors to get in there to get their lives again? Oh, the people don't know what's best for them. Well. Okay, they want to always blame the people. They always want to blame. There are a lot of people that are saying, "Hey, I'm trying to get help." There's no house. There's not enough housing. We can't get the services. Put like this on the services. Some of the social service providers, they get paid off of signatures. So you walk in the door. Hi, sir. How you doing? Sign in and take a seat. We'll call you when we're in. And you can sit there for hours. They could just leave you there after 3-4 hours. Ma'am, excuse me. I've been sitting. Sir, could you go have a seat? I said we'll call you. You get frustrated. You know what? I'm going across the street. This is horrible.
But all they
you go across the
that
street.
Signature.
So then when you go across the street, what do they tell you when you walk in the door? Sign in and take a seat. And so now they all of a sudden they got 300 signatures and they turn this is how they turn that in. That doesn't mean they provided any services.
But that's how it works.
The website and they're showing look at all of what we've done, photo op, and these are all the people we helped, and then they get all this funding coming in and all this, and they get a handpick. They help one, two, or a few just to make it look good,
right.
But the majority.
And that's what we see. We see the photo ops. We see Paris Hilton serving food.
Right. Ooh. And everybody goes crazy over that, TMZ and whoever else. But it's like, okay, but that's not helping the problem. And so but out of Paris Hilton. So I was in Union Rescue Mission when she was there one day. I was coming out of a meeting, and it was like everybody's all like, what's going on? Oh, Paris Hilton right there. Oh, let me go the other way. But she genuinely was there trying to care. But see, the poverty pimps, they have this structure of how they allow you to help. Just like volunteers. There was a time I was in the mission, there was food project. Well, we just have a big group, whether it's school kids, a church group, whatever, and you go in and put on these aprons, put on the gloves, and they say, don't make eye contact with the homeless people. Don't ask them, don't talk to them. So you take the tray, you pass it down. Okay, you put something on the food, one side, you pass, you take a spoonful, you pass, and then they'll have somebody from the actual mission staff actually hand it to the homeless person as they come down. And okay, after that, oh, thank you for helping. Okay, get out of here. And it's like, you did great. And it's like, there's no interaction.
There's no connection.
Is that really volunteering? I mean, so that's where people are just clearing their own guilt of, I helped at the mission. How did you help?
When I went down there to see you on last Saturday during the Black History Month celebration. I noticed that there were some church groups down there by the mural handing out, sandwiches and waters and bags of toothbrush and toothpaste and stuff. I read that also there's a lot of places in a lot of cities that they will find people.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
They tried to do that here. We stopped them.
Now, so if we wanted to just come down with a ice chest and a cooler full of sandwiches and chips and all that stuff to hand out, some cities actually will arrest people or fine people and ticket them for doing that.
Absolutely. There's a volunteer guy in Florida that he's notoriously he feeds the people and they keep arresting him, and it's a big deal over there. And then he gets released, he goes right back to feeding and get arrested. It's an ongoing thing. So they tried that in Los Angeles. The activists and scare. Hey, we're not doing that. I don't know who you guys are. So some of the Los Angeles Police Department, some of their main guys running around doing just pushing the LAPD narrative, saying that there's too much food in Skid Row. I don't even know what that means. My whole thing is people are undernourished. Now I'll say there's too much food in Skid Row when you see everybody in Skid Row is weighing 400 to 500 pounds.
Right.
Then you can say they're eating there's too much food going. You see everybody, I'm home. You look like you're eating pretty good to me. Okay, it's too much food going. But you see people are shriveled up, undernourished. Malnutrition, all of that kind of stuff. That's not too much food. So And then also too is what are the nutrients in it? If we really is this an area to rehabilitate folks? What are the nutrients in it? So, I talked about this with the missions, food banks, and some of the other folks, and they say, hey, General Joe, we're just trying to put food in bellies. We serve thousands of meals a day. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, because we serve quality food. For one, they won't eat it. It'd be finished. Broccoli, I just want the, give me the slop burger, and, whatever. Or, it just, they won't have enough funding and resource to actually, consistently keep the healthy stuff going, salads and what have you. And so, but my whole thing is at some point in time, we gotta break this cycle that they're allowing it to fester, and it's just continuing.
Let me ask you this. Okay, with that said, don't you also? But do you have to kind of agree that with the nonprofit, the pimps like you call them, and but you also have to you have to realize that you gotta there's that whole you gotta want to help yourself too. I mean, and do you find that it's hard? I mean, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of mental illness down there. There's a lot of addictive, lifestyles, and it's hard to almost kind of get out, reach up and pull yourself out of this, this way of living. So people are generally, the nonprofits, I understand where you're coming from, but when people are just trying to generally help, but you got to also understand that you got to kind of help from the inside out. And do you kind of find that there's a struggle there? I mean, do you not notice that there's a lot? But then the people in that community down there, do you find that there's
Are there different levels?
Are there more people trying to get out?
Different levels. Some people are they're drug users and they're not coming out. There's some people that have jobs, have kids, and want to come out. Are there different levels?
Absolutely. And so the different demographics, the different statistics. Some people are just, they've given up on life and they want to drink their life away, because opportunities didn't come. But
unable to help themselves.
A lot of, again, the majority of the Skid Row is African American population. So a lot of these folks come from inner city communities. So we're talking about South Central, Watts, Compton, England. So those folks that are there. But let me be clear, because there's another negative talk about data statistics. The majority of the people in Skid Row come from somewhere else. They're not. It's not born and raised here. This entertainment capital of the world, the homeless capital of the world. But a lot of these folks are imported. So a lot of other cities across America say, "Hey, we ended homeless." Yeah, that's what we call. They call Greyhound therapy.
Yeah.
One-way bus ticket and bam. And so that's been going on for decades. But now, so you got some people that are like, hey man, I'm just, all they know is party. But hey, they want to party their life. Okay, great. You have some other people on the other spectrum that are really trying, suffering from extreme poverty. They don't have mental illness. They don't suffer from, substance abuse. They're just poor. They want opportunities, and so the opportunities aren't there. They didn't come from there where they were. And you hear Skid Row is, this is a place where all the, over 100 nonprofits. In 2014, Los Angeles Police Department gave a town hall meeting in Skid Row. They said there's 107 nonprofits in Skid Row. So if Skid Row is a 50-block community, that's more than two nonprofits per block. So more than a 2-to-1 ratio. Why is there such a problem? If everybody just handle your block, it can't be. That's the poverty pimping. It's more
sounds
proof.
crazy. That there's that many down there trying to help, and it's still fucked off like that.
So are they really trying to help? No, they're poverty pimping.
Right,
so let's call it what it is. They're not trying to help. They're trying to get paid.
Right.
And we're not trying. They are getting paid. Because I had a USC student come to me and to help with I'm big on education, so I help the students with their class projects. And she they went on this Access Charity Navigator watchdog nonprofit that watches the nonprofit, and that's fluff. I went on there and saw the bogus ratings that they give. But anyway, so she said she looked at Skid Row, and she stopped at 50 nonprofits, and she looked at the combined annual incomes in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So the money's coming, the resources are there, the funding is there.
Right.
Well, the nonprofits are there, the social services are there, everything is there. What's the problem? So then we say, okay, now they're like, it's the housing. Well, now they have Washington, D.C., HUD regulations say, okay, now we need the housing plus the services. So that's why now the ballot, in November ballot was measure HHH called Triple H. Now coming up on the ballot is single H. So Triple H is so a lot of people don't know. The city of Los Angeles provides housing. The county of Los Angeles provides services. So, we talk about housing. It's, the housing authority, the housing department. Those are city-owned agencies. When we talk about county of Los Angeles, we're talking about Department of Mental Health, Public Health, Department of Health Services, and all of that stuff. So in November ballot, it was $1.2 billion. Triple H was specifically for housing. But now HUD regulations say, the housing has to come with services. So they split it in half. So now it's single H, which is $350 million over 10 years, which and over the 10 years be over $3.5 billion. So now they'll have the housing plus the services. The thing is, if Measure H doesn't pass, then the services component can't be attached to the housing. So technically, based on HUD regulations, none of that 1.5. The city will still collect that 1.5 billion tax on for the property owners, but they won't be able to build any of that housing because they have to find out where the services, where that funding is going to go to apply that. So this is it's a weird dichotomy going on right now, and a lot of people don't understand the nuances of what's at stake. So a lot of people say, "Oh, HHUF, that's over $1 billion.
It
Go
sounds
ahead,
like a lot
do it
of
there."
red tape. It just, I mean, the people pushing paperwork.
Money grab is money grab. It's poverty pimping on so many different levels. So then the developers are going to get paid because they get to build the housing, and so they create more jobs, construction jobs, and it's poverty pimping, and it's sad. So when we talk about we the people, what can the American taxpayer, what can we do? We need to really understand, get real-time information. That's why I'm so glad that LOUDLABS is having me on the show, so I can share some information. And it's a lot to digest, I know. And so I'm just really trying to, quickly get it all in to really, people can then take it upon themselves, do the research, but let's see it for what it don't just because somebody says something, they're sitting in the position of authority, doesn't make it true. Like right now, what's going on in the White House, a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't believe every, alternative facts, and I don't believe what's going on." Well, then don't believe it. If you don't believe it from your federal representatives, don't believe from your state or your local representatives either. Do the research, see what's going on. Everybody just assume, "Oh, I'm so-and-so and such, and I'm the CEO of the such and such mission, and we are trying to end homelessness and help us donate. They're poverty pimping."
And some of the research I was doing before I had you on before we had you on the show, I was reading too. A lot of people like the misconception of people living on Skid Row is like you said, they're substance abuse, or they're alcoholics or whatever they call it. But a lot of it this stems from is unaffordable housing and low income for jobs. And once you get to that, like I said, it's families, single moms with 3 kids, and when you can't afford a place to stay at night, then you end up in that car, and then you from that car, then you get a ticket, it gets towed, and then you end up in Skid Row. And a lot of people think that, oh no, they're just they're drug addicts or junkies, but what happens is you get down to Skid Row, and then this, like the 30-year containment problem, and not doing anything about it, and not helping anybody down there, that attaches onto that new family that just got in Skid Row, and then all the bad shit that that goes on down there starts getting into these people's lives, and then then looking from the outside in, it's easy to just go, oh, those people are all they're all junkies, and they're fucked off, and they don't care. But a lot of it comes from just our country and the states, and people can't afford the housing. People can't afford to live. It's hard. I mean, it's hard. It's hard out here.
And then let me just be clear. There's zero low-income family housing in Skid Row. So, even, previous mayor Villaraigosa, I went to his office and was like, "Hey, can you do a PSA?" Because this is when the American economy, almost went under in 2008, 2009. I said, "Man, can you do it? We got this super high influx of families coming to Skid Row. There's, they have to stay in the mission. There's only one mission that allows one is men on one side, and then women and women with children on the other side. But there's no family low-income housing, and so that's a problem. That's why we're trying to create the Skid Row neighborhood council. We got to house the families, and so and what I always like to tell people: anywhere there's a high concentration of men, and a high concentration of women, sex happens. Babies are made, and so now if they're still, in an addictive state, or they're suffering from extreme poverty, the concept is with the politicians and the powers that be say, oh, once they have the baby, they get pregnant, they'll move outside of Skid Row and get their life together and take care for that child and the family. That's not they're still coming back for the services. They're still coming from back. So they're dragging the babies back and forth. And so then with this whole influx, I said, Mayor Villaraigosa, can you do a PSA and tell the families, don't come to Skid Row. Go to Long Beach, send them out, go city, go here, go, point them in the right direction. Because they're coming around trying to, which place will help me? None of these places. Why are you here? So I'm literally was out in the street on 24/7 because people coming in. It was bad. And it was heartbreaking, and so I will give props to Reverend Andy Bales out of the Union Rescue Mission, because it got to the point where he couldn't take turning away families, that he cleared out a whole wing of office space and put some cots up and allowed the families to come in. I mean, that's overflowing now too, and so now they need funding for that. So there are some good elements to the power within the
Right.
poverty pimp
I mean,
structure.
people are trying to help. I mean, but
Sure,
I get
sure.
what you're saying. I mean, it's sometimes it's misdirected, but I mean, there's some, so like you said, you're about the positive things that are trying to happen down there, not the negative things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so when but the thing is the overall system. When we talk about the foundation with Skid Row, containment zone, the modern day Skid Row is what I call it, from the containment zone and all of that. So when you have all of these, situations here where there's a foundation that's laid, and so if the foundation is flawed, just like in construction, you want to build a property, if the foundation is flawed, whatever you build is going to crumble. And so that's the whole thing. We need a better foundation laid, because all these so-called new solutions, they're just going to come crumbling down if it's, so we need accountability, we need stronger oversight, transparency. We need to really know. So people can go on the website and you look at such and such nonprofit. Oh, everything looks in order. Let's go ahead, donate button, click and donate. Where's your money going? It goes into a black hole. They'll tell you where it went, but you really don't know.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's no way to really tell, to really know where. If I gave $1 and that dollar disappeared, they can't show you where. They can only tell you, but you can't find it yourself.
Shit.
So we really don't know.
Our own government can't even tell us where they lost $54 billion in Iraq. During the.
It just went.
Yeah, everybody keeps going. Rumsfeld's like, I don't know where it went, right? So if they can't find out $54 billion,
right. And so and that's the thing about while we mean well, and just like how the show started, the fires, plane crashes, you see Good Samaritans jumping in there helping out. There are a lot of good-hearted American citizens, that really want to help. Just like me, I don't get paid to do what I do. I don't have a nonprofit. I just started a grassroots organization just to have that. So I don't take people give me donations. I'm out in the streets just trying to do what I can, and with our positive movement with the residents, people say, oh, they're residents, they live in Skid Row, oh, we don't want to give it to them. Well, who's the nonprofit that's over you? We don't have a nonprofit because we're not dealing with the poverty pimps. And so it's slow to develop, but we created a positive movement. It's been going on over 10 years. It's alive and well. We have an award, that basketball league we started, and me and the little OG in 2007. In 2010, the local newspaper, the Los Angeles Downtown News, every year they have the Downtown Distinction Awards, and in 2010 our basketball league won. Excuse me. So we're award-winning league.
Yeah.
Our cleanup campaign in 2011, Operation Facelift Skid Row, we won it for the best do-it-yourself initiative, cleanup campaign, also by the Downtown News. And so Operation Facelift, as we let the city know, because at the time, Safer City Initiative, there were 3 components. It was outreach, enhancement, and enforcement. So as a Safer City Initiative was a collaboration with the City Attorney's Office, the Mayor's Office, and the Los Angeles Police Department. And so the City Attorney's Office was basically they created diversion projects, Project Halo and SOS, Streets or Services, to where alternative solutions, instead of going to jail, go to get the services, if you need help. And they had signs that of success. And as soon as they showed signs of success 2 years in a row, the funding got cut. It's like, why would you cut the funding for something that works? That was just tremendously weird. So, but then through the enhancement component, all the city agencies, sanitation, street services, all this stuff. So we're saying, hey, we need services. There's trash everywhere. Can we get the street sweepers? Can we get? And they were like, no, because street sweepers. Years and years ago, people, riffraff would throw rocks and bottles and get out of here, whatever. And so they said, we don't want to endanger city employees. Okay, we understand that, but now it's a new day. We'll walk out there with you.
Yeah.
We'll escort you. We'll make sure that we need our thing. We need services, and they wouldn't do it. So we wound up getting donated brooms. We started cleaning up ourselves. It's right on San Julian, the heart and soul of we call that ground zero of Skid Row. And so for 8 months straight, on a 24-hour basis, we kept San Julian spotless in 2008. And so then that paved the way for the city of Los Angeles. Okay, well, if they can do it, we can do it, because we're demanding, come out here and provide the services, because this is what as Angelinos, is what we deserve. So then in 2012, I gave a tour, walking tour. We give what I call Skid Row tours. We give walking tours, and so we gave a tour to some staff members from Mayor Villaraigosa's office, and they said, oh, so I'm like, I'm not going to show you the cute stuff. I'm going to show you the nooks and crannies, the deep, And so they said, okay, do you mind if we take pictures? Sure. So I'm showing them, there's this saying in Skid Row, they say, how does a homeless person flush the toilet? And it was like, this is when I first got to Skid Row. How does a homeless person flush the toilet? They set it on fire. Some of the number 2.
Sure.
So anyway, so that's the element. So anyway, so I give a walk-in tour. They take pictures. They put in a report, turn it into the mayor. The mayor contacts the county health department and says, "Can you send out a couple of investigators? Can you confirm what's in these reports?" And they confirmed it, and they cited the city. There was a high concentration of urine and feces, high concentration of rat infestation, a high concentration of hypodermic needles all over the streets. And so they said, this is so bad, you've got 30 days to comply. And so the city responded by creating Operation Healthy Streets. And so when they did that, they found some funding, they had, and then the whole thing for us, we thought, okay, well, there's an opportunity for our grassroots, residents of Skid Row to we can create some jobs cleaning up our community. That'll help so much. And so the whole thing was, all of a sudden, the city came back, these are going to be union jobs, nothing to the good. Wow. We didn't get donated, but we couldn't even get supplies or no resources to support our thing. And they kind of like took it over and outshined and outshadowed our thing. Operation Facelift Skid Row, Operation Healthy Street. So like they took our name, took our component, and then they created all this money. So then the next year was $1.7 million would invest into it. Then the year after that it was 3.2. So they're generating all this money and no opportunities for the community. And it was we the ones that paved the way. And it's so there's a lot of distrust from the system. So a lot of people, if they don't want to get help, they don't trust the help. Like. Right. Every time we try to do something, you turn your back on us. You slam the door in our face, or every time it's always problems, or you want to give me housing, but then you want to give me problems, and then you want to evict me. So you're saying you house me, but no, you house me, then you evicted me. You're leaving out the most important part. Now with eviction on my record, I can't get a new place because no landlord's going to rent to me because I have an eviction plan. And so it's this. So they're creating and extending homelessness. It's a homelessness cycle, and the poverty pimps can continue to poverty pimp.
So Operation Facelift that you're involved with right now, from my perspective, if the city just provided like trash bins for you guys to keep keep the upkeep, because when we go out on calls and I'm in and out of that area, that's the one thing you do. There is an overwhelming piling up of trash, garbage, a lot of black bags, and just cardboard and all kinds of shit just blowing around down there. Mm-hmm. I mean, did the city provide you guys with some like trash bins so where you guys could, on a block to block situation? I mean, it seems like to me anyway. If you guys were able to start there and really do like you said in 2008, you said San Julian was spotless, right? I mean, just to make a point to say, hey, look, we do care about our community. We do want it cleaned up. I mean, that to me right there is if you guys could just get a really giant good start on just cleaning up and knocking down some of them health issues down, right? I mean, that's the positive shit you're talking about.
Absolutely.
That's what we want to get involved with and do and move forward with.
Yes, and so, but understand, let's go back to the core. So, in the modern day Skid Row, Safer Cities Initiative. So when we were going to those meetings saying, can we get these resources because we want to, help in our own, because our whole thing is do for self. We want to do for self. So the problem is the Los Angeles Police Department says, no, because I'm like, it's trash everywhere. We need trash cans. They're like, no, LAPD said, no, we don't want trash cans in Skid Row. It's trash everywhere. What kind of life? So I said, what's the reason? So they said this is their LAPD narrative. Years and years ago, there were some drug dealers that would stash their dope in the trash cans. So to stop them, to stop them from stashing their dope, we got rid of the trash cans, and then there were some other type metal trash cans. They would set bonfires as public safety. So we got rid of those. Okay, they have mesh kind. There are other different kinds of trash containers. We have to collect the trash. And so we're always having resistance. We want a community beautification, plant some trees. They said, LAPD again. No, we don't want trees in Skid Row, especially the Y-shaped tree. Oh, years and years ago, there were drug dealers that stashed their dope in the trees. And so they're just blocking, our efforts. And so we got to the point where it's like, screw LAPD. We're going to clean up the streets ourselves. We're going to plant trees. We're going to, beautify our community. We take pride of ownership. The SRO, the Affordable Housing Covenants, means we live here. Now the new housing is not transient housing anymore. It's housing plus services. So it's permanent supportive housing is what they call it. That means we live in Skid Row. Let's claim it as a community. We need the city of Los Angeles to recognize it as such. Yeah. Give us the resources and let those of us, it may be a small group right now, but it will grow. Build it and they will come is the philosophy, common philosophy. Right. Let's get it started. We want to create the Skid Row Neighborhood Council. Let's get it started. Those of us that live in the community from within, You know, a lot of solutions come from outside and they don't take root because it's not true to the community. So let us start it and we'll build out. We connect with those community partners that are willing, whether city services, county services, that are willing to connect with us, and we can build, and I'm telling you, we're going to turn this thing around. Another problem is, before I forget, like when we talk about, there's a high concentration of mental illness in Skid Row. You know, so I have a problem as a community activist. Department of Mental Health. Have they ever cured anybody of mental illness?
Not that I'm
Is there
aware
any?
of.
I don't. You know. So that's like they you know, the problem just continues. There's no proof that it works. So they get like $2-3 billion a year to run their What do they do?
Is there anybody down in Skid Row that has is there a walk-in out of all the four main what do you call it down there? I'm sorry, the missions down there. Is there anyone that's in particular that's better for mental health issues down there?
Hold on. That's a great question, but let me be clear. Whatever services you provide, all the, you know, what a nonprofit, what social service provider, all their formulas are generated from a Department of Mental Health formulas and strategies. But if Department of Mental Health solutions are flawed within itself, it doesn't matter what service you have. It's just like McDonald's. If they get flawed burger buns, all their burgers are going to be flawed because it's coming from a bad factory. So my whole thing as a community activist is kind of hard to get a better product and higher expectations from there. If we're raising the bar in Skid Row, if the system itself that you're using, the formulas you're using in and of itself are flawed, how do we go about improving the product that Department of Mental Health provides? So their whole thing is, let's just give them medication and come see me back in 30 days.
Well, I think that's a problem. But I think that's a general problem in medicine in period. I mean, not just,
absolutely,
it's just not a problem like absolutely,
you said,
not just a problem with homelessness in Skid Row, but I mean, people, prescription medicines and pharmaceutical companies have been throwing pills at fucking people forever, just saying, hey, take this and leave me alone.
Right, but nobody's pointing fingers at them. No, everybody, especially in Skid Row, everybody points fingers at the people. We didn't create Skid Row. As we said, it's proof. Go online, internet search. I don't like to say Google. Internet search. That's free commercial. Sure. Internet search. It's Skid Row Containment Zone. We did not create that. Skid Row was created, for us. And Skid Row was, so many different cities across the, America. Even Vancouver in Canada has, Skid Row.
Right.
And and
Terry
many
was
other.
just in Vancouver. He says the homelessness problem up there is right, and a little bit of a problem up there.
And so understand. So if we didn't create, just like LAPD, they put the riffraff, the drug deal. It's so hard, and it's whole hard. You walk through Skid Row, you gonna see open, hand to hand, exchanges, where it's drug deal, whatever. It's like, you're a cop, you can't stop that. I mean, there are no drug tunnels coming from Mexico coming up into Skid Row. What are y'all talking about? I mean, y'all get $1.5 billion. Right. You pride yourself as saying you're one of, if not arguably the greatest law enforcement agency in the country, and you can't stop a little bunch of 2-bit ragtag hustlers that are just trying to survive.
They're not trying to stop it.
They're not trying to stop.
Containing them.
Right. So we need the people to understand the truth. What's really going on? It's job creation. If LAPD stomped out all crime, they have the budget. It's time for a budget cut. Now we can fix the sidewalks and the potholes, and we can do it.
I'm just saying, just fucking trash bins, man. Move some giant trash bins in there that they can't. I mean, those big metal fucking Western waste. Set them down there.
We trustfully, we asked for that. The city responded, well, someone's got to pay for, they got to get dumped. We got to pay for the service. We can put that there.
$1.5 billion is in the fucking budget. Why can't we?
1.5, that's LAPD only.
I know that. But what I'm saying,
the way this government works, everybody gets their issue.
Let me ask
you. That's sanitation,
right?
And they get their budget is there, and then let me
ask you this, Jeff. Yeah. So far since we've had you on, I mean, you've talked about back in your days, you were helping bring gangs together and break bread, and then you started this experiment, moving into Skid Row and figuring out how you can become a part of the community and help fix this problem.
Yeah.
Who's been like your biggest influence in your life? Like who's somebody that mentored you and that inspired you to go out and do this and be like this?
Nobody.
Not one person.
I was born and raised in the area. This all I can attribute to, because I get asked this question a lot, and I think about it myself, in preparation for the question.
Sure.
I just have to say that I was born and raised in an era where there are a lot of decent folks in America that really and I just pride myself on that. That's the only thing I have to hang my hat on at this day and age. We see people rescuing people out of airplanes and rescuing people out of burning houses. There's a certain fabric that's embedded in the DNA of America, that it doesn't matter what nationality, what your background is, what your culture is. There's something about America that's just genuine and it's true, and that people, we tie into that. We tie into that.
Yeah.
9/11 was a perfect example how everybody just came together.
Right. Yeah.
But we shouldn't have to come together for this big cause. And so I was one of the first community activists in Skid Row that were lobbying all of our politicians from a local, state, and federal level to declare a state of homelessness, as an emergency, as a disaster.
Yeah.
And so we couldn't. We got close, but we couldn't do, because my whole thing is now we can get local, federal, state, and federal funding to get a bigger funding pot to actually come help. And so the problem was they wouldn't declare it because they said because it wasn't a natural disaster. And so my whole thing is, then I went to the governor's office in Sacramento to see if we can declare and redefine, and call it declare a state of emergency based on because of an unnatural disaster.
Right.
And define
human disaster.
redefine homelessness.
Yeah.
And it's a problem that's exacerbating, and it's just really negatively affecting and negatively impacting not only Skid Row, downtown Los Angeles, but the city of Los Angeles, other folks. It's spreading out. And so now with the lack of housing, it takes on average 18 months to build housing. And so if we're talking about 2 to 3 years, to really build significant units, building. So now we're talking about if there are almost nearly 50,000 people that are homeless in LA County with, Measure HHA, $1.2 billion. Okay, if you build housing in the city of Los Angeles, surely people from LA County are going to come, so there's not enough housing. And so the next 10 to 15 years, homelessness is going to be exactly where it is right now, if not worse.
Right.
So, they're not building. So my whole thing is, if you really want to end housing, you got to build more housing.
Yeah.
If you end homelessness. So the whole thing is, we need more shovels in the ground.
Yeah.
More
shelters put up, for sure.
So what, I'm not talking about shelters. Shelters is temporary. Shelters is I'm talking housing.
What do you call
it's
those?
Housing plus services. Yes,
Right.
SRO, low income housing.
Yes.
Shelters
and for the families too.
temporary.
The single mom type family, they need
Family
that type
and
of
low income,
structures
absolutely.
So we can
stabilize.
And
then also too, that's the back end. Then we need on the front end preventive measures to prevent people from becoming homeless.
Yeah.
And so there's multi-pronged solutions that are necessary. And so because we the folks that live the lived experience with, we don't have a seat at the table. So it's kind of hard for us to we just have to, the people at the table, they don't know what they're doing. So our whole thing is, that's why we're creating the Skid Row Neighborhood Council, so we can create our own table.
Right.
And then we can actually offer official information and solutions that can not only help in Los Angeles but help across America.
I wanted to say also, before we wrap this up, I contacted you to get on the show so we could talk to you about this, and the first time I met you was last Saturday down at Gladys Park.
Yes.
And as soon as you and I meet each other, shook hands, there was probably, I'd say, 5 to 7 people within all of 10 minutes that were walking in and out of the park that gave you a, hey, what's up, Jeff? What's up, Jeff? And everybody was coming to you about, hey, Jeff, did you hear about this? What's going on with the housing going on over here? And what's going on with it? You're like, this isn't on my event, but you were directing people like, go here, go there.
Sure.
And that's the thing. And I got to tell you, man, there's a lot of people, I'm sure, on a day-to-day basis are glad you're down there and you're in Skid Row and you're helping them and helping, because like I said, it's nice to know that you started this experiment, and it sounds like you're still involved with this experiment.
10.5 years and counting.
And counting.
Got to have the and counting part, because I'm not stopping anytime soon.
No. Like I said, I from all the research and everything that we've known and heard about you, and today, it doesn't sound like you are, and I'm glad you're not, man, because there's a lot of work to get done down there, and if it doesn't seem like if there's not even one person, not one voice helping and shouting, saying, hey, look over here, we need help, we need funding. it's just going to continue to be contained and fucked off, and it's not. It needs to be looked at. It needs to be addressed.
Yeah, and let me just quickly say this: just like when City of Los Angeles in the running for the summer, the 2024 Summer Olympics.
Yes.
My whole thing, that's 7 years from now. So they're going to declare what cities guys going to win. Now it's down to 2, Paris, LA, in September of 2017. So whatever the solutions are on the table right now, they've got to work, because in 7 years, if LA's awarded the Olympics, are you going to tell me homelessness is out of control and people from all over the world are going to come to the city? How are we going to explain that away? So then when the city's trying to get LAPD to enforce, 50 ordinance like 5611, 4118D, and all this stuff, and they're trying to, now they just declared that it's, illegal to sleep in a car. If you're homeless, and I don't even know what that means. Like, 'cause I remember there are times when I'll come out of a club and be hammered and be like, let me just let the seat back and let me sober up a little bit or so. Yeah, and they're not gonna, hey, you're illegal. What are you doing? You're sleeping in your car. I'm gonna impound your car. Whoa, bro. I mean, so how are they gonna deter? Who's gonna enforce that? And so then also too, you have situations where they're talking about the homeless property. Like, you can only have an amount of property that can fit in a 60-gallon trash bin. So I'm like, wait a minute. So we're at City Hall, and I was the loudest voices saying, hey, wait a minute. So you're saying the most valuable items that a homeless person has, you telling me they have to put them in a trash trash bin, and then because it's on wheels, and So who's going to limit to say how much property? So if a person gets evicted out of a house, they have a whole house. Something went bad, the economy went bad, lost their job, whatever. They get evicted. They got furniture, all this stuff. They can't afford storage, and they just got to temporarily put it here till they figure something out. A lot of people are traumatized. Like, hold on, let me just put it on the side. Let me just figure it out. And say, oh, you can't have all of this. How are you going to tell me what I can? This is my stuff. Because a lot of people are traumatized. They fall into a deep depression, and so they need to hold on to stuff. Yeah. And some people, and so if it's not treated properly or even diagnosed properly, then all of a sudden it becomes into this hoarding of stuff to overcompensate for what they're lacking and what they need. And so there's just a whole lot of systems and concepts, the way people see homelessness. And I have a problem with the word homelessness, because it makes it seem like everything else in a person's life is okay. They're just homeless. Like, oh, give them a home and they'll be okay. And so that, again, it relieves the guilt, it relieves the obligation of the rest of the citizens. And it's like that. It's so much more to that. There are a lot of women that are of domestic violence victims that are like, they got to escape a abusive husband or significant other, and so a quick place to go is hide out in Skid Row. And so now, oh, you're in Skid Row. Oh, we can't help you. Oh, yeah, that zip code. The employers aren't hiring if you put that on the job application. So now, I mean, this is so screwed. So it's like, but the way it's going, it's going to continue. And, I'm just the bearer of truth. Don't hate the messenger. But the way the system is right now, it's going to last easily for another 10, 15 years.
So with all that said, Jeff, where can what's your organizations are you a part of right now? The Facelift one. What's that one?
I'm the chair of the Skid Row Neighborhood Council Formation Committee. We have a Facebook group on Facebook. Obviously, it's called Skid Row Neighborhood Council. I myself, General Jeff, I have my page, on Facebook. My Twitter handle is at Go Skid Row Go. My email address is issuesandsolutions@yahoo.com, and on Instagram it's at Skid Row General Jeff. And my cell phone number is 323-445-0723. It's always on 24/7. I try to help any way, shape I can. But understand, I don't have resources. I'm not a nonprofit. I don't have housing. Right. I don't have food. But I try to do what I can to point people. And I'm in the trenches.
You have a voice.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to do what I can. Zero funding. I don't get paid to when I do. I'm 100% volunteer and struggling. My own personal life is a wreck because I'm caring about others. But again, it's about us as American citizens caring about our own. And I understand folks all over the planet are hurting, but as Americans we gotta handle home, take care of home. And so homeless vets out there. It's a lot. There's a lot of different demographics. Instead of lumping everybody into one category of homeless, let's break it down. Domestic violence.
Right.
You got LGBTQ. You got homeless vet. You got a lot of different. Come get your people.
Well, Jeff, with that said, I just want to say thank you very much for coming on the show and talking to us about what's going on in Skid Row.
Thank you for having me.
And how we can all be a part of the help and the solution to that.
Sure, that was just an introductory talk. We're just laying the foundation, so hopefully I can come back on. You guys have me back, and then we can really, we can keep on coming.
And all that stuff. We'd love to have you back. Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Jeff.
Thank you.
All right, bud.
All right. Thanks, Ty.
Thank you so much.
That was great.
Thank you, Jeff, dude. No, seriously, man.
I'm American. I was born in America, Los Angeles. I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I care greatly about my city, and they don't need my help in Beverly Hills. They need my help in Skid Row. I'm there. For free, volunteer, don't get paid, and I'm committed to do it until it gets done.